All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to peel back the layers on why we do the things we do. We're going to use a framework from cognitive behavioral coaching to explore the 5 hidden layers that are secretly driving all of our actions.
You know that feeling, right? You set a goal, you're super motivated, maybe it's a New Year's resolution, and then a few weeks later, you're right back where you started. It's frustrating. But what if the reason you keep getting stuck has nothing to do with how hard you're trying?
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It completely flips the script on what we've all been told our whole lives. Just try harder, have more willpower. But the source material here is suggesting that something much deeper is going on. It's not about a lack of effort.
See, the real problem is that we're all looking in the wrong place. We focus on the most obvious thing, our final action, but that's like trying to fix a knocking engine by just washing the car. We're completely missing what's actually going on under the hood.
So to really get this, let's think about an iceberg. You know, that little piece you see sticking out of the water? That's just a tiny, tiny fraction of the whole thing. And that visible tip, well, that's our actions. So let's start there, at the very top.
Okay, so layer 5 is the action. Let's say you procrastinate on a huge project and end up missing the deadline. That is the final visible outcome. It's the thing your boss sees, it's what your team reacts to, but it's only the last page in a very long story.
All right, now for the really cool part. We're going to dive underneath the surface of the water and explore all those hidden layers that actually caused that missed deadline. This is where it gets interesting.
So right below the surface, we find layer 4, behaviors. Now, these aren't the action itself. They're the patterns that lead to it. The action was missing the deadline. The behavior was procrastination, that sudden, urgent need to alphabetize your spice rack, right? That's not laziness. It's a learned coping strategy your brain is using to protect you from something. And if we go even deeper, we hit layer 3, emotions. What was driving that urge to sort spices? It was probably that tight knot of anxiety in your stomach every time you even thought about the project. And this is huge. The emotion isn't the problem. It's a signal. Think of it like a check engine light for your brain. That anxiety is just a physical message, and it's being triggered by something else.
So what's triggering that check engine light? Well, that brings us to the really crucial layer, layer 2, our thoughts and expectations. You see, our brain is basically a prediction machine. The thought, oh man, this project has to be perfect or they'll think I'm a fraud, isn't just a random idea. It's a forecast that tells your nervous system, hey, red alert, and boom, that's what triggers the anxiety. The emotion always follows the thought.
And that brings us all the way down to the bottom, to the massive invisible base of the iceberg. Layer 1, our core beliefs and values. Because behind that thought, I'm going to fail, is a much deeper belief. Something like, I must be perfect to be valued, or making a mistake is dangerous. These are the invisible rules that run your entire operating system.
This is it. Layer 1 is the source code. It's where everything begins. All those other layers, the thoughts, the anxiety, the procrastination, they are all just growing out of the fundamental rules you've set for yourself right here at your very core.
And this slide just lays out the real sequence perfectly, doesn't it? It never starts with the action. It starts with that core belief, I must be perfect, which creates the thought, I'm gonna mess this up. That triggers the emotion of anxiety, which leads to the coping behavior of procrastination, which results in the final action of missing the deadline. It's a perfect chain reaction from the inside out.
So now that we can see the whole system laid out, how do we actually change it? This is where the cognitive behavioral coaching approach comes in. And the secret isn't about pushing harder, it's about seeing more clearly.
This is probably the most important thing to take away from all of this. Real, sustainable change doesn't come from just gritting your teeth and forcing yourself to do something different. It comes from having the clarity to understand the entire system that's producing the behavior in the first place.
Let's just put these two paths side by side. The old way is to force more action, right? That's just focusing on the symptom, the procrastination. And we all know where that leads, straight to burnout. But the CBC way is to understand the whole system so you can address the source, that deep belief about needing to be perfect. And that is what actually leads to real, lasting change.
Okay, this all makes sense in theory, but let's bring it back to you. How does this actually apply to your life? Let's turn the lens around and think for a second about the hidden rules you might be living by.
Think of it this way. Your mind has an invisible rulebook that it follows without even asking. These rules tell you what's safe, what's a threat, what you have to do to be accepted. The only catch is, Most of us have never even realized we have a rule book, let alone read what's in it.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. What's the invisible rule that's driving the patterns in your life that you really want to change? Because just identifying that rule, well, that's the first step. Once you can finally see it, you can start to question it. And once you start to question it, you can finally begin